Hey everybody, this is Hoang, and today we're going to do a bit of a different video. This is how I personally approach deck building, and this is in celebration of reaching 1,000 subs on this channel. And so I'm going to give you guys a glimpse on how I approach it, as I do like to think I approach it slightly different than most people. And to kick us off, we're actually going to start building around Sarismon, because I know a lot of people are asking about Sarismon, and we've done Sarismon for pre-hit, and we've done Sarismon for post-hit. But a lot of people are still asking for it, and so we're just going to do it all again, and I'm going to explain how I go about my thought process. And the best thing about any list, right, is identifying what our win condition is going to be. So we're going to make this list for post-hit, since the hit is in about 2-ish weeks, right, April 1st. So we're going to take post-hit into account, which means Argomon level 5 and Hidden Potential Discovered are at 1. So let's do this. So first off, we're building around Sarismon, right? That means since Sarismon is our win con, we want to make sure that we build our deck entirely around it. So Sarismon, we have to identify what are the mandatory things required of Sarismon, right? So let's ask ourselves that. Okay, what cards are mandatory in Sarismon? And so we go to English, BT3, and then let's look. So this is the current English pool. What cards do we think are mandatory? Well, obviously, Bancho Stingmon is mandatory in Sarismon, right? I think you can play no less than 2. I think you can play no more than 3, so anywhere between 2 or 3 for Bancho Stingmon is really good. Now that Mega Gargomon has lost potency because of Hidden Potential Discover, we actually run less Mega Gargomon, if not any at all, in favor of more Bancho Stingmon, because now we have to increase our Omnimon matchup. Because now that we've lost our high roll, or we've lost a little bit of our high roll potential, this now means that we're much more reliant on being consistent across the board. And then since Omnimon is such a bad matchup for green, and it's such a difficult matchup, we have to make sure that we see our out. So we're going to play 2 Bancho Stingmon at the current moment. And then we're going to play the 1 Hidden Potential Discovered, because there's no reason not to play it, right? The card's still insane. And then since we're playing Sarismon, we have to identify, okay, we need download fodder, right? Download is really powerful. We need to identify that we need DP gain, right? We need cheap evolutions. We can play the 1 Argomon because we're still allotted. And then we have to play, in my opinion, the mandatory level 3 package in green. 4 Agumon, right? 4 Goblin, and then the 4 Argo. So the reason why these are mandatory in green is because Agumon is a flat DP boost, which is really, really good, especially in green, because now Sarismon can swing over 12k, which is super significant. And then we play the 8 download fodder, the 2 cost drops, as, again, they're download fodder, so it's just really, really efficient. So now that we've identified some of our mandatories, let's get a bit more of the consistent base that we have to establish. So for Woodmon, right? Woodmon is really, really good. You should play at least 2, given that you're able to stun the board, but I think 4 is good, especially given how significant 6k is. 6k means it takes 2 Shine Greymon procs to defeat. It means that Omnimon can't just swing into the Sarismon, right? You have a couple things going for you. So Woodmon at 4 feels really, really good. And then we come down. So we've established that DP boost is really significant. So do we play the Kabuterimon or do we play the Gargomon, right? Because Kabuterimon is a 6-1 for 5, and Gargomon, on the other hand, is a 5-1 for 4. So Gargomon is actually 1 cost cheaper to hard play at the cost of 1 DP less, or 1k DP less, right? And so between the two of them, I actually prefer Kabuterimon. Now, the reason why we play Kabuterimon over Gargomon is because we have to establish what's in the meta. And the meta at the current moment is Omnimon, Rookie Rush Green, and then Shine. And Shine Greymon is very meta-defining, right? Because Shine Greymon destroys things in increments of 4,000, and so because of that, we have to play around Shine Greymon as much as possible. Kabuterimon being 5,000 DP means that it takes 2 Shine Greymon procs to destroy, whereas Gargomon only takes 1 Shine Greymon proc to destroy. And while this situation might not come, super often, granted that the green has such a good matchup in the Shine, it doesn't mean we shouldn't play around that situation. And so as a result, we play the 4 Kabuterimon. And we needed to play more DP increase, then we can maybe play Gargomon plus Kabuterimon. But as of right now, we're establishing what we're mandatory need. So at the current moment, we are sitting at, what is this? 32 out of 50 cards, right? So we acknowledge that both Rookie Rush and Yellow also run Memory Tamer. And so when Memory Tamer is really popular in the format, you also want to use Memory Tamer in response to so, because otherwise then you're just playing a one-sided game. Red Omnimon doesn't need to use Memory Tamer because Red Omnimon is such a streamlined process, but in Green's case, our Memory Tamer is actually really, really good, and off of 3 memory, we can do quite a few plays, right? We can Digivolve into one of our Blossom or Argomon, for example, and then download something for free. So we're going to play the 2 Mimi because we don't have the luxury that Omnimon has where they can just go into the Omnimon and just clear the board. We don't have that luxury, and so we have to play a little bit more chill. And then, so I think right now this is a really good established base. We've established the mandatory cards, and then we have to establish our eggs as well. So as far as Digitama go, well, personally, let's identify what is green's win con. Well, green's win con, right, is green removes via swinging over them with DP. Green is really good at swarming the board. Green is really good at accelerating to level 6. There's a lot of really interesting win cons in green. So we have Minomon, which is you get 1k whenever you swing at a Digimon. We have Argomon, which is whenever the Digimon is unsuspended, you gain 1 memory. And then the other Digitama that I think is viable is Tanemon, as Tanemon gets +1 whenever you Digivolve for the turn. So, which of the 3 eggs do I prefer? Well, personally, I think Minomon is better than Tanemon, because oftentimes you're going to be swinging over your opponent's Digimon in order to control the board. So Minomon is just more consistent 1k, whereas Tanemon requires you to Digivolve. And if you don't know, Tanemon does not proc if you Digivolve in the raising area, so you have to Digivolve on top of the board. And sometimes you aren't able to do that, and so we play the Minomon because Minomon is more consistent. So then it comes down to, okay, do we play Minomon or do we play Argomon? Well, Argomon gives us memory, and memory is always really helpful. It's strong synergy with download or Digisorption, right? So it's really, really good. Whereas Minomon is just consistent power gain. And so, which do I personally prefer? Well, let's take into account the meta. So versus Shine Greymon, the 1k is not so significant because we're able to swing over the Shine Greymon's 11k naturally anyway. Versus Omnimon and versus Ceresmon, we do care about the 1k because of Phoenixmon and because of mirror matchup, so opponent Ceresmons, or even against Superior Ultramon, right? They're at 12k. And so if we don't have so we want to have a consistent way to access the +1k, as we can then swing over their 12k with our now 13k. You know, obviously we have cards like Aguteriumon and Agumon, right? But we want to play for consistency because we want to make sure across the board that we never not have that DP boost. Whereas Rookie Rush doesn't care about the power gain, right? So Rookie Rush and Yellow are more suited for this, whereas Red and Imperial are more suited to be beaten with this. So we have to take into account, okay, which matchup do we fear more? Which matchup do we want to respect more? Personally, I think that Red and Green are much more worthy of us having to tech against, and the reason why is because Red is Green's hardest matchup. We need to be prepared for this, and we're not always going to have our Bancho Stingmon, and so if that happens, then we have to make sure that we can hit enough DP to where we can actually potentially swing over Omnimon, right? Via Minomon plus Agumon, okay, we hit 14, and then we have Kabuterimon, now we've hit 15. If we have Rapidmon in the level 5 slot, then we actually hit 16, so that's really significant. So we play the Minomon, and then we play the one Argomon. You can make the Argomon into a Tanemon if you want to have consistent 1k across the board, but I don't think it matters too much, so we can just play the one Argomon for right now. It's really up to player preference. Personally, I like the one Argomon because sometimes you get it really cheeky. Again, the 5th egg is very so-so, as long as you have the most important Digi-Egg being your 4 of. Okay, cool. So now we've established our Digitama, and now we have a little bit of seed slots left. If you look at our stats, we're at 12 level 3, 8 level 4, 5 level 5, and then 6 level 6. So the general ratio that I think you should go for a baseline is 14 level 3, 12 level 4, 8 to 9 level 5 rather, and then anywhere from 6 to 8 level 6. So let's top off our rookie ratios, right? So we're playing the mandatory 4 Goblin, 4 Argo, and then 4 Agumon. So what other rookies do we think are really good in green? Okay, well, let's identify. We have Tentomon. Tentomon is really good versus black as it rests the Gatsumon. It's good in the mirror matchup as you can rest the download fodder and then swing into Soset download fodder. Here you have Palmon, and Palmon it reveals cards. It's good synergy with Argomon, right? You can search for your Kabuterimons and your Woodmons and etc. Kokuwamon, I don't think Kokuwamon's very good in this meta because passing over 1 is potentially really, really dangerous since it costs your evolution. Auroramon is an additional download fodder that we can use because remember, 2-cost drop is really powerful as we can then use it for fodder, and 5k base is really, really potent as it swings into security and has a really good chance of living as you oftentimes swing into a rookie. We have Terriermon. Terriermon is really effective against Ragnalordmon. Ragnalordmon is a really popular deck in North America at the current moment. It completely nullifies Ragnalordmon's ability to gain 3 memory, so this is a really powerful card, as well as stopping blue. And then we have Wormmon. Wormmon is on deletion, check top 3 for level 4 or level 5. This is really good in tangent with Digisorption, because then you can Digisorption the Wormmon, and then if your opponent swings to punish it, then you actually get free search off. So let's narrow down our results. Okay, Palmon. Do we want to be hard playing the Palmon too often? No, not really, because that's a lot of memory that we're passing over. So we can eliminate Palmon from the running. Tentomon. Do we care about black too much? I don't think black is that big of an issue, so we're not worried about Gatsumon and such. The mirror matchup is so-so, because then honestly, in the mirror matchup, well, we can play more Bancho Stingmon. We have the Minomon, right? So I'm not going to worry too much about the matchup, but if hypothetically we do happen to see more green in the future, then we can revisit Tentomon. Okay, should we consider Mushroomon? Not really, because Auroramon is just better Mushroomon, essentially. And then we have Tentomon, and then we have Wormmon, right? So we narrowed it down to 3 choices. And so I think Terriermon rather is really, really good because, as we mentioned before, Ragnarlordmon is really popular in North America at the current moment, right? And since it's so popular in North America, we actually want to have some sort of tech against it. Not only that, but it's also really good against Patamon, for example, in Shine, because you can deny them the ability to shine and gain the 1 memory. And so now they're forced to take out Terriermon, which means they could be 1 tamer short of now killing your Ceresmon or such. So take that into account. And then green is one of those colors. So if you notice, green has on average, really high play cost in comparison to the other colors, right? Kabuterimon costs 6, Argomon costs 8, Blossomon costs 7, right? Green actually has really high hard play cost compared to all the other colors. And so as a result, you actually want to run a higher count of level 3 and green than the other colors, right? This is something we have to take into account of being the play cost. Well, Wormmon costing 3 makes me really hesitant to play Wormmon because I don't want to be slamming for 3, right? It's the same reasoning as whereas we had Palmon. And so we're going to top it off with 2 Aurormon because not only does it give us 2 more download fodder, but it's relatively cheap. So now that we've taken care of that, let's top off our champions, right? So let's go to champion. Okay, what are our choices? Ogremon, Vegiemon, Togemon, Argomon, Gargomon, and then Stigmon, right? Those are like the more realistic choices. Choices like Kuagamon, choices like Tyrannomon, we really don't need it, right? Ogremon, no. So Vegiemon. Vegiemon is really good. Vegiemon is a 1-cost evolution. It's a cheap hard slam. And if you remember, we talked about this. Green has really high costs for hard slam. Vegiemon is cheap. So now Vegiemon helps us. It smooths at our bottom end. So now we're less likely to brick, which is really, really good. It also is 6k, and 6k means that it dodges Alter S. It dodges Volcantramon, right? That's really, really significant. Because now, if we're against red, we can hard slam the Vegiemon for around the same price of a level 3 or a rookie, and then we're not going to get Alter S. Okay, Togemon is really good because Togemon can search, but Togemon requires you to be on the board rather than within the raising area. Right, because if you Digivolve inside the raising area, then you don't get Togemon's on Digivolve effect. So that's really, really dangerous, and so I don't want to, I mean, you know, give or take, it's a risky maneuver. But potentially finding your level 5, so finding your Blossomon, your Argomon, or your Ceresmon is really, really good. We have Argomon. Argomon is essentially a flower cannon for your Ceresmon, so it's a really good setup once you get there. And then you have Gargomon. Gargomon is once again a Kabuterimon where it does the same thing, but it has a slightly different tweak in stats. And so we play the Gargomon if we want a little bit more power. And then there's Stingmon. Stingmon gives us memory. And so the reason why I don't want to run Stingmon, and then which would tie into when we get into level 5s, Okuamon, is because I don't think memory does too much for us. I think memory is very so-so in this deck. And the reason why is because your costs are so cheap as it is that I think we can just play for the regular DP boost amount rather than having to swing into stuff and getting that DP, and rather getting memory gain. So I actually would eliminate Stingmon. And so we're left with Vegiemon, Togemon, and Gargomon, and Argomon, right? Whereas power gain goes, we have Minomon, we have Agumon, and we have Kabuterimon, right? So we have a sufficient amount of power gain, in my opinion. However, given the meta, we may adjust it. But right now, I don't think we need Gargomon because we already have enough sufficient DP gain. So we eliminate Gargomon from the picture. Togemon is really, really good, especially since Argomon level 5 has now been hit, which means that we have less download targets in the game. And so Togemon is potentially really, really good. But I don't think we need to run Togemon because the reason why is it's a 2-cost evolution, which is really, really expensive. And so given in a mirror matchup, for example, or even versus Shine, we may pass over too much. So right now, I don't think we need the Togemon. Maybe if you want to play more consistently, we can play the Togemon, but for the sake of this list, we're not going to play it because I want to be more streamlined. And thus, we're left with Vegiemon, and we're left with Argomon, right? And so don't think you have to play only 4-ups. We can actually mix up the ratio a little bit, right? And so we can actually do a 2-2, we can do a 2-2 ratio. We can do 2 Veggie and then 2 Argomon. And so we have the Argomon, right, who then grants us the ability, where is it? Yeah, so we played the 2 Argomon, which is now Flower Cannon. It gives us the ability to download, right? So now we can speed up our gameplay a little bit more. And then we have the 2 Vegiemon, which is the Alter S. It swings big. It's 1-cost evolution, right? It's really, really good. And then obviously we can adjust it. So for example, we can play 3 Veggie and 1 Argo. We can do the other way around, or we can just do 4-0, right? There's a lot of different ways you can approach it. It really depends on you as the deck builder, because Digimon is such a really, really cool game to deck build in. And I say this because there's so many different choices. You know, no deck is going to look exactly the same as another because you have so many variety of choices in this game. And I've played a lot of different card games in the past, but Digimon is by far my favorite in terms of deck building because of like little nuances like this. So really, really cool stuff. So we're going to play 2-2 because we want to cover a little bit of both grounds. We get the 6k for Alter S, whereas we also get the Flower Cannon. So we're getting best of the both worlds, right? To me, that's really, really good. And so now we're going to go and check the level 5 slots, right? We're going to go do this. Okay. So what level 5s do we have to consider? Okay, so let's eliminate a couple. Digitamamon, okay, we don't want to do that because that's a lot attacking, really risky. Mega Kabuterimon, again, we don't need memory. Okumon, we don't need memory. Jagamon, a little bit too RNG. Lilymon, we don't need a rest stuff. We have Ceresmon. Metal Tyrannomon, potentially, right? We can swing it and keep swinging. Cherrymon, it's a blocker. Blocker is really good, especially versus Rookie Rush, which is really popular in the meta, and green has a really hard matchup into Rookie Rush. Paildramon, we don't need as too much. Rapidmon is really good because then we enable ourselves more DP gain overall, which is really powerful because if you remember, there is Omnimon. Jewel Beamon is 10k, which means it takes 3 Shine Greymon procs to do. Interesting, right? And then we have Dino Beamon, and then we have our Arcanimon, and we don't care too much about that. And so we are between Metal Tyrannomon, Cherrymon, Rapidmon, and then Jewel Beamon. Okay, well, do we care about Jewel Beamon? And I don't think so, because you have such a good yellow matchup as it is already, we don't need a tech specifically for it. So we eliminate Jewel Beamon. Okay, do we need Metal Tyrannomon? Potentially, but I don't think we need Metal Tyrannomon as of right now because the meta is what it is. Because Metal Tyrannomon is really good, assuming that the meta was almost entirely Omnimon and such, right? But Rookie Rush has such a huge presence in the meta at the current moment that Metal Tyrannomon is a dead card in that matchup, so I don't think we need Metal Tyrannomon unless Rookie Rush were to fall off in the meta. And thus it leaves us with Cherrymon and Rapidmon. Okay, well, if we expect to play against more Rookie Rush, then we play Cherrymon, whereas if we play more Omnimon, then we play Rapidmon, right? So I think Rookie Rush is a really big thing in the meta, so we're going to play 2 Cherrymon, and then we can also just top it off with 2 Rapidmon, right? So now we've achieved the best of both worlds. Again, both of them we can do a 3-1, we can do either way, right? Or we can do a 4-0. There's a lot of different ways to approach it, but we're going to go splits here, but we can also go about it such as 3 Cherry and -1, so we go 3-1. We're going to go 3-1 here, and the reason why is because Rookie Rush is such a hard matchup for this deck, and then we also have a sufficient amount of DP gained within the deck already via Kabuterimon and all of them, so I don't think we need to tunnel onto that super hard. So we're going to go into our megas now. Okay, with mega, so again, 6 to 8 megas. So right now we meet the bare minimum. It's not too bad. Let's acknowledge what other megas we need. We need Titamon? No, Ceresmon. Herrick, Rose, Grand Kuaga. None of them fit what we need to do. Puppet is really interesting, but I think Puppet is a trap, because if you do Puppet and you give over too much memory, then you're potentially opening yourself up to an Omnimon or to a Shine. So personally, I'm not a fan of that. Argomon is another download or Digisorption card that we can use, especially with the hit till Argomon level 5. So now we can potentially play this. Restaurant no, too slow. Imperial Digimon doesn't work with our Wincon. Mega Gargomon potentially, but hidden potential is at 1 now, which means the potency of Mega Gargomon is limited. Bancho Stingmon, and then Imperial Digimon Green. So I'm actually going to increase Bancho Stingmon by 1, and then we're going to play the 1 Argomon level 6. And so the reason why I've done these choices is because Bancho Stingmon is so important to our Omnimon Red matchup, and Omnimon Red is such an important deck in the current meta that we're going to increase this to 3. Bancho Stingmon is really good versus Green, Red, and Imperial, but it doesn't do very much against Rookie Rush and Shine. But in the case of Shine, we have such a good Shine matchup already that it's okay. And versus Rookie Rush, well, Bancho Stingmon skill is going to swing over them and still going to get the piercing off, so it's still pretty good. So overall, Bancho Stingmon is super good for this meta, as it covers a lot of ground. So we're going to play the 3 Bancho Stingmon. This also means that if we don't see our TP gain, it compensates for that, right? So really good stuff. And then we played the 1 Argomon because, like we've mentioned before, where is it? Yeah. So as we mentioned before, the reason why we're going to play this is because our level 5 downloads have been reduced. And so we're going to play this to, like, you know, soften it up a little bit, make sure that we have more consistency, right? That's why we're playing the level 4 Argomon as well. So now we have an extra Flower Cannon to play with. And the reason why we don't play Mega Gargomon is because the potency of our hidden potential discovered has been reduced. And so personally, I'm not a fan of passing over that much memory. And so, how do we top it all off? Well, let's put in some options, because green has really weak defense, right? And as far as option goes, I think Flower Cannon is just creme of the crop. What does Flower Cannon do for us? Well, it's super good in the mirror matchup, because now you can swing over your opponent's Blostomons, for example. It's also really good at punishing opponents like level 6s and whatnot, which then you can then go for the Bancho, right? Sometimes you don't have the Ceresmon, sometimes we're on the Bancho and we need to rest their stuff in order to pierce it. Well, there you go, Flower Cannon. And as you can now see, that is 50 cards. You know, we have 5 Digitama, 16 level 3, 12 level 4, 9 level 5s, and 8 level 6. So overall, this is a really solid Ceresmon green deck. It's pretty balanced, right? It doesn't lean too hard into one direction in either way, and it covers a lot of ground. So hopefully this helped you guys in deciding how you want to approach your own deck building. The TLDR, right, for those of you that may have gotten lost somewhere into the video, is identify what you want to build around. identify what are the mandatory consistents that you have to do, and then from there, fill out the little spots that you need to do. Oh, I need DP gain to synergize with this. Okay, let's get DP gain. Oh, I need a little bit more blockers because I have a really bad matchup of this. Okay, let's pad this up a little here. Oh, we need to compensate for this. Okay, you know, it's like when you build a house, right? You have to get the bricks, you have to get the building blocks, and once you get the building blocks, and you fill it in with all the little accessories and whatnot. You know, that's how I approach deck building. So thank you guys for watching. Once again, thank you so much for the 1,000 subscribers. I appreciate you guys so much. You have no idea. Thank you all, everyone, and hopefully this video was useful. Thank you. Take it easy, guys.